everyone? I'm back for another update here. Today is October 6th, 2025, and I am back home. What I'm going to talk about today is, again, much of eastern North America right now is in an Indian summer type pattern. I know they don't talk much about Indian summer anymore. They don't ever mention Indian summer like they used to. It's up in the 80s today. It is warm. It is summer-like. Does this mean runaway global warming has taken hold of the earth? Well, Indian summer has happened throughout my lifetime. It's called Indian summer. It does not mean we're suffering from runaway global warming like they try to portray. I saw a post today. It's no surprise. It claims that 2024 was the warmest year on record. I don't know what they're going to say about 2025, but probably same story. What's really going on is, I suspect, they're using technology to manipulate the MJO to keep the jet stream a ridge over North America in the jet stream as much as possible, to convince people that runaway global warming has taken hold of the earth, or make it appear that way to where people believe it. Like right now, it's easy to believe that that could be true based on the weather we've seen here the last few weeks of super warm temperatures, near record warmth in the Midwest or U.S. Supposedly three major hurricanes, 2 Category 5s in the Atlantic, supposedly, according to what the data that they are putting out, which I don't agree with. I don't think we've had 2 Cat 5s this year. That Imeldo that made landfall in Bermuda supposedly was a Cat 2, according to the National Weather Service. However, when it moved through the island, the reports of the highest winds were gusts in the 40-mile-an-hour range, gusts, and they were claiming it was a Category 2 hurricane, which causes me to suspect that most of the data they're putting out on hurricanes are lies. For intensity, I'm not disputing that those 3 hurricanes might have been major hurricanes. I looked at the images. But Category 5s, I doubt if they were that strong. There is a change in the pattern supposedly coming that is going to bring colder weather, but the thing to really keep in mind here is there is technology being used to modify the weather going on. I'm not saying that man can completely control the weather. They cannot completely control it, and that's like these hurricanes we've had this year all occurred in the same area of the Atlantic because they got lucky. There was a warmer patch of water in that area of ocean. But the rest of the Atlantic, the Caribbean, the Gulf, to date, has had no activity. It has been a no-show. If real global warming was going on, the oceans were really record warm, as they keep saying, we would be getting a lot more hurricanes, because hurricanes feed on the heat off the water. We would be getting a lot more storms earlier in the year throughout the season. We would not be going practically the last part of September with no activity anywhere. That would not be happening. if what they're saying is really true. However, they're using technology to modify the jet stream, which I believe they are capable of doing to some extent. They use technology to enhance convection over certain parts of the world that affect the MJO and cause the jet stream to take a certain path. We have to keep in mind that most of the population of the Earth, the oceans cover nearly 3/4 of the Earth. Obviously, nobody lives on that 3/4 covered by the oceans. And most of the continents, most of the population lives in a very small area of the world. So if they can manipulate the MJO to where the jet stream is in a warmer position over limited areas, and the cold areas of the jet stream or the troughs stay over unpopulated or oceans or unpopulated areas of the continents, they can definitely create an impression that global warming is going on when it really isn't. And then they could put out like this was the warmest year on record. And of course, again, it's easy to believe. I look out my window right now. It is easy to believe. If I knew nothing about climate and nothing about weather, I would believe it because, yeah, wow, it's really warm out. It's in the 80s. It's October. It shouldn't be in the 80s for days on end. But the real reason that's happening is because the jet stream is taking a position where there's a huge loop northward toward the Arctic regions that's locked in place and has been for weeks over North America and other areas of the Earth like Siberia, Eastern Russia, Mongolia are getting cold and snow. And North Pacific, the North Atlantic, there's a trough. Nobody lives in these areas. Most of the population of the world lives in either the eastern US, Western Europe, or India, or China. Or Africa. So they're going to target where most of the people live. That is why places such as Queensland, Australia are getting flooding rains because they're manipulating the MJO. These areas get a lot of rain, it affects the MJO. Phase 4, 5, and 6 is warm phases for North America, where the jet stream will stay in a position where there's a ridge over at least part of North America where most of the people live, to create the impression that global warming is going on. For people that are not educated on climate, but even people that are, meteorologists buy into it. Many meteorologists have bought into this, that man is responsible for climate change. They fudge the solar records, readjust the data to make the sun appear like it's a constant source and there's no variation, so that the sun is left out of the equation when predicting climate change. When in reality the sun is the bottom line, they don't want people to see that. They want people to believe that man is the source of all climate change, man's activities, and give them a reason to shut the world down and destroy the economy. They've even developed technology to try to increase the numbers of hurricanes, because hurricanes started after 2005. Hurricane activity decreased, landfalls decreased. Since about 2007, the U.S. went 8 years in a row with no landfalls, and they figured that it had to change. So around 2016, I feel it was around 2016 where they rolled out this technology to try to create hurricanes artificially. And at first it worked like a charm. We were getting hurricanes popping up left and right as a result. And how can I tell the difference? Well, why do I not feel it was a natural trend toward more activity after 2016? Because you look at the images, like I looked at Katrina in 2005, there were no explosions when it moved over the Gulf. You did not see explosions of convection. It was a Cat 5. If you look at the images, you could tell that the storm was naturally drawing the heat up from the Gulf and using that a natural way to come up to a Cat 5. You look at images from 2016 on, you could see the difference. There's explosions occurring. You can see that it is artificially being enhanced by some sort of energy being directed at it in a large scale, not just cloud seeding. So, for a while, it worked great because